Hey, Facebook Live, what's going on? This is your girl, Lucinda Cross OTT, and I'm coming to you with the Lunch and Earn. We haven't had one of these in a minute, but I'm excited. I usually do my Lunch and Earns on Periscope, but I'm telling you, if I'm so in love with Facebook Live that, I don't know, I got to get back on Periscope. So, we're going to wait a second. Let some people get in. Heart it up. If you're here and this is a topic, you're like, you know what? I need to negotiate. So hit the share button while you're here. Hit the share button. Hit the share button. Let people know somebody out here is about to put on an event, and we don't want them to go broke, right? Especially us speakers who we want to get paid. Yes. So good afternoon. Hit the share button. Heart it up if you know this is a topic that you are excited about and looking forward to hearing more about. Great. Shout out to Yandy Smith and her whole team at EGL. Girls hustle harder. Yes, we do. Girls hustle harder. This t-shirt is hot, right? The bling is crazy on here. So yes, girls hustle harder. Yandy Smith and her partner, Latoya Bond. They did an amazing event this weekend. Thank you so much for including me, always including me to be a part of your vision and vice versa. Yeah, great concept, right? In terms of negotiations. How do we do event negotiations? How does this thing work out? So thanks for the hearts and the love. Hit the share button. Hit the share button. Take a second and hit the share button. And let's get started. In 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I need my own theme music. So this is your girl, Lucinda Cross, the Chief Activator Lifestyle Coach, which covers business and your life, blending the two so that you can have what you desire, go after what you deserve, and just live an amazing life of fire, fun, and freedom. And so I cover several topics in terms of someone in as a personal brand and putting themselves out there. And guess what? Events is a part of your personal and business brand. Huge part. So I do need theme music, right? Yeah, I need somebody to put some theme music together for me. So today we're talking about negotiations. Pull out your handy dandy notebook and let's get started. Pull out your handy dandy notebook because I want you to take notes about this topic. I want you to take notes in terms of what you can begin to do to start negotiating. And this is just a little snippet. I'm not going to give it all out, but just enough for you to negotiate. Okay, so here we go. And if you're planning an event, say I'm planning an event. Put that in. Put that in. Let me know if you're planning an event. You like the face? Ew. Thank you. Let me know if you're planning an event. Let me see what Robin do. She be like, put one. So put 2017. Hashtag 2017 if you are planning an event. Hashtag 2017 if you are planning an event. Yes. I want to make sure that I'm talking to the right people at the right time about the right thing. Hashtag 2017 if you are planning an event. All right. The next thing, please hit the share button below. Let some people know that we are here and we are live. Negotiations. Some things that you have to consider in terms of negotiating with venues and hotels and conference rooms and meeting space. Here's number one. These are not even number one, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the things that you have to take into account. And these are things that'll help you in terms of your negotiation. The dates that you plan, the dates that you plan on having your event, the days that you plan on having your event, the season that you plan on having your event, the time that you plan on having your event, the head count, we're up to 4 now, 5 now that you plan on having your event, any specific requirements, basic requirements that they're going to ask you is, do you need AV? What about special lighting? What about Wi-Fi? They're going to ask you those things. Food and beverage is another. So it's dates, the dates that you plan on having your event, the days. So with those two, the dates and the days, meaning are you having it on a Wednesday and a Thursday in November? Is it going to be before Thanksgiving or after Thanksgiving? Right? All of this matters in terms of your negotiation. Is this a peak season? Is it wedding season? Is it vacation season? What season is it in? Is it off peak or on peak season for these events? And we'll go into that. The time that you plan on having your event matters. Is it going to be early enough to where they can still book another event after yours? Or is it going to be late enough where they can still book an event before your event? Or are you just going to cover the whole day and use the space for the whole day? The other thing to also think of in terms of timing, do they need special staff and special security if it's at an evening event? Is there going to be staff early enough if it's an early event? Timing is everything. Timing also means that how much time would you need for setup and breakdown? How much time do you need for to pre-set up? How much time do you need for your actual event? Always add, and this may make some people nervous. Always add an extra hour for wiggle room in your event. If your event is from 10 to 1, you tell your team the event is from 10 to 2. Why? Because that extra hour, you're always going to need an hour of wiggle room. People don't get up and leave that fast, especially if they're having a good time. Right? People don't, and so this way it gives you that wiggle room, but you still say our event is from 10 to 1. We're getting ready to close out. We thank you. Anything can happen. Somebody can get in the spirit. So you just want to leave that 1 hour of wiggle room. The other thing to consider, setup time before and setup time after. Setup time after sometimes is you need that hour and change in terms of breaking down. Although your team will start, you say your event is from 10 to 1, team, I need you to start breaking down quietly around 1 to 1:30, completely done by 2, right? Because we're now into wiggle room. Now we're into completely shutting down. An event will always give you an hour before setup and an hour after. And sometimes if they're really nice, they may give you an hour and 30 minutes before and an hour 30 minutes after. But in your schedule, you always give, if they say, well, what time? If it's, like I said, if it's a 2-hour event, you say it's 2 hours, but it's 3 hours. So if it's from, like I said, if you have an event from 9 to 5, you put on that my event is from 9 to 6. You need that wiggle room. If not, if you are not open with that, when it's time for negotiations, they will slam you with the bill for the extra hour. Okay? Yes, because activators don't want to leave. We need like 2 hours wiggle room. And then we just got to say, oh, hell, just start moving tables around them. And they still don't care because they like, so what? We will dance all the way outside the door. And even outside, we was still it was activation out there. So your wiggle room. So factor in dates, days, season, time, head count, special, basic requirements, food and beverage. We'll go into that. Now, when they ask you your head count, your attendee count, don't go high because then you'll end up with 50 extra plates if sales don't kick off the way you expect, so to speak, right? So don't go high. You don't want to say, well, I'm planning for 100. What you want to do in your negotiations is saying, listen, based on my last events, we usually have, I don't care if it's your first event, based on my last event, we usually have anywhere from 40 to 50 people. If I need to add an extra 20, what would that look like? Or I need to add an extra 10, what would that look like? Then this way, because you're negotiating early enough, you're not negotiating in the same month that you plan on having your event. You're not negotiating 2 months before you having your event. You're negotiating at least 3 months before your event. At least. Hopefully you're giving yourself more space, but at least 3 months before your event. This way you can go back and say, listen, we have a great turnout. We're already at 50. We've already reached our quota. So stick with your middle number, not the number that you want your blessing. God, I want the overflow, seats filled out. That's not the number you give to the venue when you're negotiating. So say you want 100 people in the seats, right? You tell them 60 people you're planning for. You are looking to sell out to 100, but 60 solid seats is what you're planning for, because you got to think there's going to be some extra people that you're not thinking about that you want to gift tickets to, and you'll eat the cost for. So you always give that mid-range number, not the high number. So your low number, if only 30 people show up, I know it'll be a blessing, right? Not that low number. You want to always go for the middle number in negotiations. Although you're praying for the high number, God, I want this thing to be sold out like a Beyonce concert, right? So you don't give them your blessed number. You give them your middle number. Okay? Your mid-range number. Don't also, when you're negotiating, there'll be a moment of pressure. I call this the pressure cooker, where the event sales coordinator on the venue end, and then the event host on your end, if you're not dealing with an event planner. Sidebar, event planners have connections and contacts where they can do all the negotiations for you. If you're not in a position to do the negotiation, to pay for an event planner at the time, listen, event planners can really save you some major coins. But if you are not in a position to hire an event planner, what you can do is start with the negotiation yourself to kind of wet your feet. And one of the things that I do within this pressure cooker moment, as the event host, they're the event sales team, they are going to go, because they have a quota to meet. And I have a budget. So don't feel in this pressure cooker moment to go with their sales tactics. Well, this is our high demand season. Well, we already have 3 people looking at the event on the same date. Don't allow that to pressure you to make a decision out of your budget and out of alignment. And there's another thing. When they say, what's your budget? I wrote this down because this is something I always say. That's the major question. And if you've watched any of my Facebook lives in the past or Periscopes, that word budget just makes it makes my stomach hurt. So when people say, well, what's your budget, Lucinda? I don't have a budget. How about that? I'm not just walking around with a whole budget. My budget it doesn't matter, because my vision and my budget don't match. So what do you do when your vision and your budget don't match? My vision is I want the Circus Soleil, right? And I want fire coming off the stage, and I want Oprah Winfrey to walk me out, and I want Beyonce's 20 dancers to come out with me, and that so I want the Coming to America theme with the strong man walking me, so don't ask me about my budget, right? Because some of us are dealing with, especially creatives, we have our budgets and the vision don't match, right? Because the vision is supposed to be so far out of reach that God has to deal with that, right? And he has to deal with you at the same time. But when it comes to your budget, when the venue is saying, what is your budget? What do you have budgeted for this event? You could say we're currently working on our budget. And what are your standard rates for an event or an experience such as this? We're currently working on our budget at the moment. We're putting together our budget as we speak. We're in the planning process. We're in phase 1 of our planning process. And so we're actually putting our budget together and our line items in order. So what would something like this cost? What would be the rates for an event like this? And that's when you say your dates, your times, and you ask them, when are your peak seasons, your off-peak seasons? What are the best days that I should go with? Is it during the week or is it the weekend? Is it a Sunday or is it a Wednesday? Right? And so you ask these questions, and then it helps with the negotiation. I really can't tell you what I say on the phone because it's really quite non-professional, because I go straight in for the kill. Boom. Well, what's your budget? I say, do you really want to know what my budget is? And they start laughing like, really, this woman is saying this? I say, you really want to know what my budget is? There's no budget. So tell me what you have, and I'll create a budget based on that. And if I can't create it, maybe I'll sell my first 2 born. We'll figure this out, But so my conversation is kind of conventional, but what I would say to keep it professional for those who are serious and not as crazy as Lucinda, you say we're currently in phase 1 of our planning process, and we're putting our budget together. But what are your rates for an event similar to this? What have you charged in the past? What are the rates in the past for something similar as this? And to the public, you are making this a big deal. Behind closed doors, I'm not making it a big deal. So Howard Theater had no clue what was about to hit them September 19th and 20th. They had no clue at all. Absolutely none. So I'm like, I'm gathering some women together, and we're going to celebrate the fact that we have stepped out, followed our purpose. We're going to connect. We're going to bond and do sisterhood. Slight entertainment. Yes, I'm going to bring in my DJ. So they don't know that it's pandemonium, that I'm about to hit them with a whole parade, right? They had no clue. But I'm watering it down because the bigger you make it a sound to them, the more crazy it drives them, because they're like, oh, we're going to need this, this, and this. And oh my gosh, we're going to have to pay for extra security and yada, yada, yada. No, back to the budgeting. So remember your factors: dates, days, season, time, head count, basic requirements, food and beverage. All of those matter in terms of your negotiation. If you're asked what's your budget, you tell them we're currently working on our budget. You let them know, hey, we're in phase 1 of our planning process. We're still vetting out venues to see which one is the best, but you would really love to work with them. You've heard great things about them. You don't go high with your high number when you're negotiating and they say how many people. You go with your mid-range number and ask what is the wiggle room in terms of increasing your numbers if you start to sell more than you expected. People are always open for these kind of things. So don't be afraid to negotiate. Don't be pressured in that pressure cooker moment where it gets quiet and they start telling you how great they are and the events that they've done. And, they have the latest technology, and they have the floor that comes they have the floor that comes up underground. And that's all great. I'm just looking for a space. Yeah, that's all great. I'm just looking for a space that'll hold 60 people. Do I need tables? Yes. Do you have rounds or squares? Can we do an L shape or U shape? Is it possible that I change the setup if my team comes? And I tell them, what would make it easier for you and your staff? And you let them know that you have a team you're working with, and your team is willing to help and support with setup. When you're dealing with hotels, they usually deal with union workers. So it gets a little tricky. They don't want you to touch anything. They have the union support there for valet and for coat check and for luggage and for setup in the room and lighting and stage setup. So that, that negotiations, you also want to find out what are extra costs, because they won't tell you the extra cost. And then when you read that proposal, you're ready to fall out. You're ready to pass out. You're like, wait, I negotiate this rate down to $1,500. I didn't know that AV was another 15, plus the union fees and setup and stage and chairs and tables was another 2,000. Okay, no, you want to say my budget is this. Okay, thank you for sending me your proposal. What can we do for $1,500? Period. So the next thing is to make nice. Make nice. You want to play really nice in the sandbox with the event manager or the event planner of the venue. Whoever's going to book you, you want to make nice. You want to be nice and friendly. You want to be nice and friendly. Hi, how are you? How's things going? Did you enjoy your weekend? You want to make nice. Don't just go straight into business. Make nice with them. They will be your greatest cheerleaders. They'll let things pass. They'll write things off. They'll set you up really sweet. So you want to make nice with the event planner and the event coordinator. That's not the person you want to get an attitude with. No. So you want to make nice and be friends, not suck up, but you want to make nice. Always have 2 alternate dates in mind. Now for me, with Activate, that's non-negotiable. September 19th and 20th. If you can't do it, I'll find somebody else who could do it. But if I really want this space, I hear it every year. Do you have any alternate dates? The 19th and the 20th? That's really our high demand season. I know. But that's the dates I have. How are we going to make this work? We have a huge social media team. They're going to blast you everywhere. We're going to put you in marketing and this and this and that. How are we going to make this work? So if you have a non-negotiable date, fine. But it's always good to have 2 alternative dates available. Now, write this down. May to July, very popular. Very popular. May to July is a popular season for events. So you will be paying higher during those months. So be prepared to negotiate if your event is between, I would say, early May, beginning of July. The other popular months are September to October. Wedding season everywhere, period. So September to October is also very popular. A lot of high-end political events go on in September to October. A lot of corporate and trade association events happen during. So they get those corporate dollars. So they'll look over you, or they'll say if your date doesn't interfere with one of their bigger contracts and you can kind of squeeze in and give them a few coins. That's what I do. So for September 19th and 20th, I know that's a high demand season and it's very popular. And I know that I'm going to be paying top dollar, and so will my guests for hotels. So what I try to do is, what's a hot event? They're going to get 50, 60,000, maybe 100,000 from PepsiCo. So the date that PepsiCo's not using, I want to squeeze in. So my September 19th kind of fits in good when I'm doing my annual event, because I can squeeze in my event and they'll take my coins just for fillers, right? Just for fillers, because that's like straight profit for them. Busy dates, well, dates that really work well, not busy dates, but dates that really work well in terms of business networking, anything related to business or career development. Tuesdays and Thursdays are excellent for those days. You'll see a lot of events that are business related on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Those dates you can get Tuesday, even Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, you can get and really negotiate and get a really great venue for a low cost. If your event is during the week, Tuesday and Thursday, don't be afraid to do an event during the weekday. Why? Because weekend events are more expensive and high demand. Everybody wants a Saturday. Everybody wants a Saturday. But what if you did your event on a Wednesday and a Thursday? What if you did your event on a Thursday and a Friday? People, here's the thing. What I realize, when people are home, they love to stay home. So if they're already home on a Saturday, to get their butts up out of the house on a Saturday may be tough. If they're already out on a Thursday or already out on a Friday, they won't have too much of a problem with saying, I just need to get somebody to get my kids, or giving them a plan. Listen, you go get Johnny. Y'all take the Uber, go home, call me, reach out to daddy. He'll be, so it's easy when somebody's already out for them to keep going. All right. They may be, they may need a shot of espresso when they get to your event, but it's fine. But in terms of negotiations, you can negotiate a weekday a lot better than you can a weekend, which would be maybe a Friday night, Saturday, and sometimes even a Sunday now. Sundays are starting to be really in high demand for brunches and things. You can also negotiate if you're going to book multiple events in that same venue. They love relationships. They love to know that they're going to have reoccurring business from you. So you can negotiate, and you can really, say, listen, this is my budget, and not be ashamed of it, because you're saying, listen, I'm going to host my next 3 events here. I have my workshop coming up. I have Mother's Day coming up. So think about what else is happening throughout the year. And guess what that does? That helps you level up. So people are not just expecting one event. Boom, they come to that one event. You say, guess what? Meet us here in 2 more months. Get your tickets now. We'll be here again for the Big Hat Brunch. We'll be here again for the Vision Board Party. We'll be here again for our annual gala, right? And so now it allows you to also level up your game. Instead of just having one event, try and buy, you're pushing from one event, sales, to the next event and to the next one. But now you can negotiate your rates with the venue. How was that? I'm going to take a break. Okay. hotels are really interested in not you renting space. And I'll give you a secret that I use, but not so much renting their event space. They want to know, how many guest rooms are you going to use? That's how they make their money. Guest rooms and food and beverage. They want to know if they can contact their catering manager and say, woo, we got a big order. Or even a regular order for 50 people, 60 people. So food and beverage is a big deal to events. And then guest rooms is a big deal. So if you are planning to have your event maybe for 2 days and you incorporate the guest rooms there, you can get a great rate and you can get comp rooms. So I would say, you know what, when you say, they'll say, how many rooms do you need? Just looking at your audience, I'll always say I need 20 rooms. There may be 20 people out of the 300 who show up, right? And I'll just start with the small number. I say, well, you know, I may need 20 rooms or 30 rooms. Well, 30 rooms for a 2-day event. Let me tell you how this calculates for them. Their calculators start going. The math adds up for them. And now you have free event space if your people begin to use the guest rooms. What you may have to pay for is some of the other things. The AV, the luggage, the catering, the service charges are crazy. You can even negotiate the service charges. They will charge you like $800, $600 for service charges. You want to negotiate that. But if you have a certain amount of rooms and you say, listen, I want to block out 20 rooms. 20 rooms is for 20 guests, right? Or 20 rooms can be for 40 guests if they 2 in a room, right? Well, they say that will be 20 rooms on Thursday, 20 rooms on Friday. That's 40 rooms how they count it. So that's 40 rooms. So you say 20, so that's 40 rooms. They're paid. They're paid. So that's a 2-day event. So off of that, you can get maybe 2-3 comp rooms for yourself for those 2 days. Good negotiation, right? And guess what? You have the venue space now at no cost. Oh God, if you add in food and beverage, so they may say, you know, it's $30 a head. Let people buy their own liquor. There's, you know, if you're not doing open bar, you're not rolling in the dough, let them, sure, cash bar. Be careful with the cash bar because they will also, in terms of hotels, tell you that you have to pay for the cash bar bartender. That's an extra $150, $200 fee, right? So you got to look at all your cost. When it comes to negotiating your budget, think of all of these things. Think of the rate that they may charge you, and you want to be upfront. How much is AV? You know, I don't want any special lighting. That's how they get you. You want special lighting? No. I say, I just want to be able to flick that bad boy on and off. Can we, I could flick the switch myself. So no, we don't need special lighting. We don't need the globe effects. Now, if they do that later, fine. Right? I didn't pay for special lighting at Howard Theater, but you know, they wanted to do the extra effects. I was with it while we were there because they got in the mood. So I was like, all right, go. I gave them a shout out. Go ahead. Go DJ. That's my DJ. Go AV. That's my team. They felt good. So they was doing a whole bunch of extras. But factor in all these costs because sometimes we'll go past and just say, you know what? Well, I'm paying $1,500 for this venue. You get the bill back. That's $6,000 because it's so much other fees that we didn't think about. So you want to make sure that you take in account all of the little things that you ask them, hey, what happens if my budget is this? No, I don't need special lighting. No, we don't need special plates. Right? So take all of that into account. So booking multiple events is what I was talking about. Find out what's extra, like the stage setup, code check, setting up the room. Like I said, hotels work with unions. Getting guest rooms really help in terms of your negotiation. You can get a wonderful venue. You can get hotel conference space and rooms for no cost. If you're food and beverage, if you're doing food and beverage with them, and also if you're using rooms within a hotel. How do you get your people to get a room at the hotel? Well, you can turn it into an overnight kind of affair. You can have it some kind of all night thing. You can turn it into like a rich, well, guess what? We're not starting maybe at the 9 o'clock. We're starting a little later. Maybe we have an evening event. Heck, turn it into a slumber party. I have a slumber party coming up for me, you know, personally. I have a slumber party coming up in March in celebration of my big 40. So, you know, guess what? our negotiation is about negotiating the room rates for my people, because we're having a slumber party. We're not going home. We're just having a good time. Negotiation, another negotiation tip is to negotiate the audio and visual. See if you can use a third party. If you do not, because those audio and visual rates can be really, really expensive. So see if you can use a third party. And if you can use a third party, that's fine. That helps you cut a lot of costs by bringing in a third party person who has mics, who has lighting, right? And it may cut your costs down. Another thing is be realistic when it comes to your payment schedule. Don't put yourself in a payment schedule that's not going to work. You want to know what my payment schedule was for Howard? I paid a small percentage when I signed the contract, which was at the end of the month, because the end of the month, they have to fill a quota. The end of the quarter, they have to fill a quota. So the end of the month, I said, I'll sign the contract in the end of March, because now I noticed it's the end of your quarter, and I noticed the end of the month, and it's a little good for you. I knew that. She didn't know that I knew that, but I knew that. So I also was realistic about my payment schedule. So within that, I paid a small percentage up front, and I didn't pay the rest until a week before I hit DC. Right? So you want to be honest. Listen, I can pay this on this date. Is there room for us to make a payment schedule that really works? And you'd be honest with them. I'm waiting for some sponsorships. We're still putting out our sponsorship decks. We're still, we're still waiting for some ticket sales to come in. Whatever you have to tell them. Listen, I'm waiting for my pension. I'm using my pension to cover, whatever it is. But you want to be realistic about your payment schedule with them. Don't get caught out there. Don't let them bully you. Remember that pressure cooker. Don't feel into the pressure of going according to their payment schedule. They just want to make sure that they get paid, and that you don't have this extravagant event and they don't get paid, right? And you want to be clear about everything. I got caught out there one time by not being clear about my audio and visual, by not being clear about all the smaller details, by not being clear that also in terms of this room block, it doesn't go, it's the master, there's a master account that they say. Under this master account, I'm not covering the room charges. That's on them. You ask my speakers, you ask the attendees for their credit card for that, that room charge fee that they charge you, $50 or whatever. That's not going on my account. Any room service, that's not on my account. Okay, so you want to be very clear on that. Everybody must be clear at that hotel that the master account is not to be charged like people who could just sit there and have brunch on me. No, don't work like that. You feel like ordering a cup of tea and no. So everybody has to give their information. So you want to make sure that with the master account is just a room block under your name. Your card is specifically for your room, your comp room, where you're paying for your charges and your team. That's it. So don't get caught out there like I did one time where the bill was like, I'm like, where's this $3,000 going? Who ordered room service? Who didn't leave? Somebody stayed an extra day? What happened here? How did this? Somebody got a suite? What's going on? So don't get caught out there. The AV, I thought it was this and now it's that. So don't get caught out there. You want to be very clear about that in your negotiations up front. So create a payment schedule that's realistic. The last thing I want to share is, I shared that signing the contract at the end of the month. And for me, you can break it down. Say, every 2 months, every 3 months, I plan on, paying off until the event is paid off. But here's the key. And this is just an extra bonus. You want to, by the time your event is happening, the day of your event, the week of your event, you want to make sure you are clear. Don't have... my team, they said, well, make sure you write on the white envelopes whose money goes to who or whatever. I said, no, anybody who is owed anything, we need to pay it right now, because the day of my event, I'm not going in my purse or to my bank to pay anybody. So whoever wants to get paid needs to get paid a week or two in advance. And really by September, I did not want to pay anybody. You had to make sure you got paid. The venue was paid off. The DJ was, the DJ's paid off. This one's paid off. Makeup artist is paid off. All the flights and hotel and speaker gifts and grab bags and everything is paid off. I don't owe anything because by the time the day comes, I just want to count my coins if I made any profit back, and that's it. Owing somebody, it just will drive you crazy. So negotiate, negotiate, negotiate. Negotiate straight off the top from the very beginning. And as I close, what I want you to do is when you make these phone calls, hi, I'm looking to have my event. And they'll say, well, what dates do you have available? Is this date negotiable? Yes. But what dates have the lowest rates for you? And what time during the month? Is it the beginning of the month, the middle of the month, or the end of the month? And they'll be open. So write these things down so that when you're on the phone, you begin the negotiations. Negotiation is where you're asking questions. You want to know how low you can go with still receiving value. How low can we go? This is like limbo. So when you pick up that phone, I want y'all to see yourselves doing this. Lucinda said limbo, limbo. So they say 10,000, you want to go limbo 8,000. They say 8,000, you want to do limbo 6,000. They say 6, you want to go low. So how low can they go without you losing the value of your event? And if you just need space, you tell them, no, I don't need food, no beverage, no special lighting, we don't even need microphones. My DJ will bring a mic. I just need the space. And my budget is $400, $500. I need space for 60 people and my budget is $400. That's it. That's all I have. But you can always ask them, and tell them we're working on our budget. Because they're going to give you their high number. They're going to give you the number that they would love to seal a deal with. But they know you're going to negotiate. So understand that they're expecting you to negotiate. And they have their low number. And you have your low number. They have their high number. And you have your hell no number. Right? But don't go in there saying, I'm planning this big event for 300 people. Knowing that you could barely get 20 people. I'm having this event for 50 people and we don't need anything special. If we wanted coffee and tea, what would that be per person? Would that offset some of the room costs? Because I would rather put the money towards getting, some little snack bites for my people versus paying them just for the space, right? Or let me just pay for the space and can I bring in some food and my cleanup team? Right? Or is there places nearby where they can eat and come back? Can they bring the food back with them? Right? So think about these things in terms of your next event. And if you have any questions, let me know. I didn't even get to look through any of the comments, but I hope this has supported you. If this has supported you and you're still planning on hosting your event for 2017, put hashtag 2017 so that we can all follow you. Get ready to put out your save the date. And remember, everything is negotiable. You sit there. I don't care how much you are sweating. Don't worry about your pride. Your thing is to get this venue and this space that you desire and that you love and have a few spaces in mind. You want to negotiate. You can even play on them. Oh, well, you know what? I spoke to the Ramada and they said I spoke to the Embassy Suites and they were offering the same, but they weren't charging us a fee for you can play it. You can play them against each other. But remember, make nice. Go give your mid number when they're asking you how many guests. Don't give them your high, blessed, and favored number. Oh, God, if you turn this thing out, ooh, I'm going to pay my tithe Sunday. No, don't give them that number. You give them, ooh, Lord, this right here. If I get this number, this would be nice. You give them that mid-range number. You also negotiate and ask for any additional fees that you're not aware of. You tell them, hey, this is my second event, my first event. And I'm really, I'm a little nervous. You let them know I'm a little nervous. I'm scared. I've been hearing some horror stories about people going broke and, I really don't have a big budget. You be honest. Honesty is the best policy, and it'll open up some doors for you for this event. Don't go in there acting like Big Willie. Don't go in there like your name is, solid as a rock. Nope. You better go in there trying to figure this thing out so that you can get the best rates, so that you can have the best event, and you can see a return on your investment. And this is, once again, information for those who are not working with an event planning company, but they're working on the grind on their own to get this thing done. And you don't know what your budget is. Like I said, I didn't have a budget. So go out there, find your venue. It doesn't necessarily have to be a hotel. There's so many spaces out there. Galleries, museums, colleges always have space. There's schools and buildings that have space. Dance studios, acting studios, small theaters, boutiques. So you can have your event at several different places. It doesn't necessarily have to be at a hotel, which will help you offset some of these costs. So once again, shout out to the EGL team. Girls hustle harder. I know we have some men there. And shout out to this wonderful young entrepreneur, Zandra. She's amazing. And this is Self-Confidence, Own It, Rock It, Exfoliating Sugar Scrub. She's amazing. Her packaging is beautiful. So shout out to Zandra. She's in Buffalo, I believe. Buffalo. I met her in Canada and I met her in Buffalo. Now she's an Activate member. But shout out to this young entrepreneur who has a wonderful momager. But this one is Hair and Body Shuffle. My kids use it. I use it. It's great. Let me show you. And it smells delicious. And you can see all the baby's fingers in here, but it's just really, really good stuff. So just wanted to shout out Zandra's products. Go out there and check her out. It's zandrabeauty.com. Yeah, she's from Buffalo. zandrabeauty.com. And bye. Yes, thank you so much for joining. And don't forget tomorrow's Seatbelt Chronicles. So I have some more information to share with you with Seatbelt Chronicles. It's going to be exciting. No, I'm not all right. No, everything is not okay. But guess what? It's all good. I'm alive and just grateful. Grateful for the opportunities that God just keeps unfolding. So I want you to be grateful and I want you to be excited even if things are not all right. And if things are not okay, they will be. But it's okay to still smile in the storm. Yes, it is. Okay? I'm a testament to it. I'm smiling in the midst of the storm, in the midst of the war. Your girl got her armor on. But it's all good. So thank you so much for joining. And share this video out to your friends. And let me know how low you was able to negotiate those rates. How low did they go? How low did they go? I want to hear it. Because the lower they go, the more you can spend. Yes.